What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Boxing Club podcast.
Right after Christmas.
Ooh, happy
Right
holidays,
after
guys.
Christmas.
Coming
What's
to the
up?
end of the
This
year.
A Christmas episode.
This is the last episode of the year. Straight out of Lake Elsinore, boxing, Supreme Boxer Boxing Club.
All right.
We got Coach Guapo, Armando in the house.
Once and truly.
We got E Slick here with us.
What's up? What's up? What's up, guys?
Lou Almighty.
The Almighty.
What's up, guys? How was everybody's Christmas?
Good, man.
It's good, man.
Very good Christmas.
Very good.
Very good.
Enjoy the family.
Oh yeah, dude.
You guys got it.
Tamales everywhere.
Damn.
Damn.
I
Pozole.
had to stay away from tamales, bro,
Well.
because
Gotta put on a factory line, dude.
Coach over here is not gonna be happy on Monday when I come back to work.
No, I think we all put on weight.
I'm hoping I did.
No shame.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in the middleweight division.
Well, this is the end of the year, the last show of 2020. So let's have a 2020 recap.
Good
Let's
idea.
talk about your guys' favorite fights, your guys' favorite knockouts, your guys' favorite drama. You know what I mean?
Kick it off, Coach.
let's,
What do you
Well, technically, okay, very good. Well, since it's 2020, we know everything got shut down,
Mhm.
and it's including sports. So there isn't that many fights and activity, but the ones they were on were good. Obviously, they were, it made up for the
The first half of the year, no fights.
no fights exactly for the. So that's really good. So I mean, there's a lot of good fights we can talk about. Meaning, there's about maybe 10 total good fights, but maybe 7 worth mentioning. And so
Sounds about right.
I what takes off for me, I think the first drama was on October. And October 31st, which was Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And that was obviously Lomachenko and Lopez.
That was one of my
That-
fights.
that was-
That's on
That's
my
one of
list.
mine too.
That was
That
it was a big, drama in itself. So that's a fight we could talk about, obviously. That was a good one. But I mean there's so many that you can talk about. That one there, what strikes me for the fight was Lomachenko was supposed to win. That was in his mind he was going to win. In fact, he was so confident he was going to win, he decided, hey, I don't need a clause, for a winning, in his clause to have a rematch.
Also,
That's where
he
he
didn't
messed
have a
up.
rematch.
He didn't have a clause rematch.
Mm-mm.
Normally,
Why would he do
as a
that?
world
I didn't know that.
champion, when you lose, in case that, I'm going to lose, in case I lose, I wanted my clause to have a mandatory rematch.
Yeah.
He was so cocky. I don't need a rematch mandatory.
He just
I
he
I
messed
didn't
up.
even
He
know
was
that.
over.
He knew he was going to
Absolutely.
wake up to this fight and say, "I'm going to win." Well, for Lopez, he didn't. He just
He showed up to
he
fight.
showed up to
Yeah.
fight.
For a lot of the guys that don't I mean it's in the name itself, but just for anyone that doesn't understand the rematch clause, when you make a contract to fight a fighter, usually when the champion is defending his title, he'll put in a rematch clause, meaning if he loses for some freakish reason, the other fighter, the new champion that beat him, cannot fight anyone else until he fights him and gives him the opportunity to regain the titles.
And mandatory, exactly.
Mandatory.
So that's where the drama starts.
Mhm.
So now, watching that fight from the beginning, it was the first round. It was more like a fill-out round. You didn't see no action on Lomachenko. He was like
He's usually a slow starter
He's
anyway.
a slow
isn't he?
starter.
Yeah.
Moved around, no big deal, not at all. Nothing wrong with that. So continuing that, watching in the second round, but even in the second round, you kind of notice, hey, he didn't throw any punches in the first round.
He was downloading, I thought.
The second
he was
round,
just-
you're still not throwing any punches, and Lopez was hitting the body, the stomach actually, just a straight shot. Looking at it, like, okay, good. So that was happening. The third round, the fourth round, and I'm thinking, okay, you need to start kicking it up
Yeah,
because you lost. You're giving the rounds away.
Right.
And again, everyone always talks about how intelligent Lomachenko is, which he is.
Yeah.
And he can do the math. He's been in enough fights to understand, hey, I'm behind the fight now.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the sixth round. Still behind the fight. In fact, make it an easy fight because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
As for Lopez, he was like, man, this fight's easy. It's very easy. But at the same time, if you're watching Lopez, as he was getting more aggressive, he did a lot of missing of punches. No clean punches.
No, of
There
course.
was no clean
Yeah.
punches. The whole thing, I go, wow, Lemon's moving beautifully. His head movement is good. His defense is tight. But you're not moving in. Is it because of the size difference? And you kept seeing this.
For a minute, when Lopez was, I thought Lopez was gonna bring it down as Lomachenko turned it up.
Right.
And
He matched
into
it.
the fourth, fifth, I'm like, okay, well, it should be about time where he turns it up, and he's not.
Right.
And I did notice that Lopez didn't do what a lot of newcomers do, and they're they're not risk takers.
Right.
They come in to fill it out, and they're trying to adjust. The experience sometimes isn't there, but Lopez didn't give a shit. He came in to do what he did, and I think Lomachenko was like, okay, this guy's not slowing down.
Right.
Now we need to
You're not
turn
going
it
to
up
wear a young kid. And again, for Lopez, he was like, this is an easy win for me if this continues this way. There was no confidence breaker because nothing was being done, nothing was being thrown back.
But do you think that his corner lost that fight for him?
Very much so.
Because the corner had
Lemachenko's fault, yes.
urgency.
And I'll tell you why.
Wait, what happened?
The corner had like no sense of urgency.
Lomachenko's
True,
corner.
Lemachenko's fight. And here's where the experience and lack of experience goes in. Now think about in the corner, where the experience builds up in the corner. When your fight's in trouble, you get antsy, you got to give him instructions what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And his father has never been in that situation because Lemachenko's always been
Dominating.
Never. His dad never said, "Okay, we need to do this, we need to do that." The guy's doing that. It was always one-sided, you know. So, in fact, every time I watched when they went back to the corner, I would listen to his father, and his father's like, "Okay, you're doing good. Keep fighting smart." And I remember thinking to myself, "How is he fighting smart? There's nothing smart about it."
He's very defensive. That's about
Very
it.
defensive. You know, it wasn't time to where his dad said, "Hey, it's time to turn the heat up. You need to start throwing punches." Didn't see that. Did not see that. In fact, his dad was very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Too quiet.
I do
He didn't know
remember
what
Too
to
quiet in
say.
the corner. And that's where that's where you wake up your fighter and say, "Hey, we need to fire you up. You need to start doing something. You're not doing enough." As a fighter, you're not sure. You know you're fighting, but you need the corner to help you and say, "Hey, we need
This
to
is
do
the
this
round.
more.
We're in this
You know,
round.
you have to throw an uppercut. You need to throw. You're not throwing in your hands.
To
You're
tell you
jabbing
what
something.
you're not seeing. pretty
Exactly.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
But none of that was being told. And so I give fault to the dad for not earnestly making it much more of a fight and just kind of sitting back and watching what was going on. It wasn't until later when they realized and they did the math, hey, we're losing this fight. In fact, we need a knockout, if anything. And now you saw Lemachenko pick it up. For the first time, I saw Lopez being stressed. He wasn't stressed. In fact, in the back of his head, he realized, I can see why Lemachenko's so hard to beat. Because he threw a lot of bombs and they were not landing. And so that's frustrating for a fighter when you're standing there chasing somebody and you're throwing punches and you're like, man, I can't hit this guy for anything.
Especially Lomachenko.
And that's exactly. The difference is Lemachenko was not making him pay for it. Until later, then I saw the stress where Lopez was where Lemachenko was tagging him. Yeah. And I go, here it is. Now we have a fight, but a little too late.
And he had a tremendous heart. That kid had heart.
Exactly.
Even when they were trading, I saw the skill, the difference in skill when they started trading, and Lopez was missing a lot more. But for him to still stand there like, I'm still taking this fight.
Right.
Come to me. I'm still taking the fight, and I'm still throwing misses or not. I had to give a lot of credit to Lopez. A star was born that night.
Right.
Oh,
well, you can't take nothing away from him.
Yeah.
You cannot take nothing away from him. He was beautiful. He did what he was supposed to do.
He did what he was supposed to do.
And obviously, he ended up winning. That was a no-brainer. Yeah. Now, here it comes. So, of course, Lomachenko goes, hey, I want a rematch. Now, you want a mandatory rematch? He doesn't have to give it to you.
The dad was quick to say, we beat you easily. We don't have to give you a rematch.
That's exactly true. That was. You don't have to have a rematch. It wasn't a close fight. Yeah. The only time it deserves a rematch
is if it's debatable.
If it's a close fight and it was even to the point where I was like, it was unfinished business. It was finished business. So it doesn't deserve a rematch. And in fact, Lopez decides, hey, I may want to go up in weight. I've already beat you. I don't have to go on. That's the fault of Lemachenko. Now, where does Lemachenko go from here? And I'll tell you. Keep in mind he's been undefeated has only lost one fight. That was his first fight, and after that he became pound for pound. When he lost to Lopez, he lost his pound for pound title. In fact, he's not even in the top 10, which I kind of find that harsh personally. Not to put him in the top 10 when he was top 10. You don't stay from number 1 to
not
number
only
0.
From top 10. He was like what, top 5?
Always.
He can't be from top 5 to 37 or something.
Exactly. You don't see him anymore. And I go, and it wasn't a beating. Understand the fight?
No.
There was no beating, no knockdown. It was a technical fight, a technical boxing, but not a beating. So you can't say, oh, Lopez dominated him. Yeah. No, it wasn't a domination. He won, but it wasn't a beatdown. So I kind of see. Let me check it out. Where does he go from here? We don't know yet. Who's his next opponent because he lost all his belts.
Right. He was reigning. So for a lot of people that don't know who Vasily Lomachenko is, Lomachenko came into the boxing game the way you're not supposed to come into the boxing game. And not only did he come in, solidify and dominate his stance, he came in a way where basically the way you're not supposed to. He had one of the longest and most successful amateur runs. How many? 300 and...
He was like 397 or something.
390 something fights before he turned pro.
Oh, did he? One loss, right?
Yes. He had lost, when he came into the pros, he had lost like once or twice ever, amateurs and pro. His first fight, was it first or second when he fought for the title?
It was his first fight.
First fight.
Now that's also unheard of. Let me tell you real quick.
That's what I'm
You
trying to
don't come in as a gold medalist, as an amateur, and going into pro and says, I want a title fight.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
It's unheard of.
That's the first. You don't come in and say, hey, I've never fought professionally, but my first fight's going to be in
even
against a seasoned veteran.
The Canelo Smith fight, the co-main event was a debut, right? Did you guys
One of them was, yeah.
It was like right before the main event.
Right.
So it's like even that, like
under those lights. But the point I'm trying to get to, it's you don't come into boxing that way. He just had so much experience and so much behind him that the reason you start out as you typically as a pro, when you turn pro, you start out at 4 rounds, then you go to 8, correct?
It's 6, no, 6.
6
to 8,
4, 6 to 8, and so forth,
and 10 and 12,
and 10 and 12,
and
12 are usually the title fights. The reason you do that is because even though you had your amateur career, turning pro, you've got so much more on your plate. You've got crowd and you're starting your career, so you have to work your stamina, your experience into 4, 6, 8 rounds and so forth. To come in from the amateurs, jump into a title fight is just unheard of.
From 3 2-minute rounds to 12
exactly.
3-minute rounds. That's
just everything. You have to build everything
up.
Big difference. You have to get your I know a lot of people were talking about Canelo's when he turned pro at 15 in Mexico and so forth, but you don't come in. He never started fighting, top level guys. He had like 40, 30 or 40 wins from guys that, weren't that great. But for Loma to do that I'm giving everyone an explanation of how talented the guy really is.
Well, you think about it, like every fight, like his 12 fights have all been like championship caliber fights.
Oh,
true.
Dude,
true. It's not. He didn't have those 30 fights like Canelo had, where he just built himself up.
The
like right from the start, he's fighting top
level guys, and it was unheard of. And then there was this guy Rigondeaux that came out of nowhere, and people were really not trying to fight the guy because he was super technical.
Correct.
He beat Nonito Donaire, which was slated the next Pacquiao. And he came out of nowhere and beat him. People were like, "Who's this Rigondeaux? I can't even pronounce his name."
I thought it was Rubido.
So eventually, PBC put those fights together. Where if you were a boxing fanatic like myself, I was like, I cannot believe Rigondeaux and Lomachenko are going to fight. It's crazy, right? And I golf with my buddy Rudy, and he's a big fan of Lomachenko as well. And I remember talking to him, Rigondeaux and Lomachenko were going to fight. And he was like, no way. I said, yeah. And when they fought, I really thought it was a toss-up fight.
Right.
Dude, Rigondeaux is so technical. Vasily Lomachenko is so technical. They call the guy the Matrix. He's so technical. I can't wait. And when I watched the fight, I was stuck to the TV. And for those of you who don't get it, Lomachenko made Rigondeaux quit.
Correct.
Didn't beat him, made him quit.
That's exactly true.
He didn't want to come back out on the
it was like the 6th round,
right?
Yeah, I think so.
I couldn't.
And that's now for Lomachenko. That's a learning thing he has to go through. Now he has to sit back and regroup and figure out what to do. Right. Now, another fight worth mentioning happened early this year. Was in July 2nd, in fact. Would have to be the heavyweights. Wilder against Fury,
Ooh.
number 3.
Oh!
Now that's worth talking about because obviously when you look at Wilder, cocky as can be, he's been backing it up. I can see why. Fury, the goofy comedy guy that you don't think he's a boxer, proves everybody wrong. But the walk-in to see Wilder in his
is that 40-pound metal costume
again,
thing?
that was an expensive costume. Very expensive. Coming out, looked cool. I liked it. I liked the way it looked.
Looks scary.
And for him to come out, in that long walk and all that, well, he claimed it was, 50 pounds?
40, 50
pounds. 50 pounds. Now, for a heavyweight, that's really nothing. Let's be honest.
By the way, it was Wilder Fury 2.
Was it?
2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they haven't fought
twice.
13.
Oh, that's I apologize. You're right. 2. Thank you for correcting me. It is 2, correct. And to see him walking slow, it wasn't like he was running upstairs or anything with it, and claiming. Obviously, we've seen the fight, but the point is, his loss was he blamed it on the weight of it. It was too heavy. It wore out his legs out.
Ate up his legs.
And the fact is, you didn't run. That didn't wear your legs out. I believe why he lost, other than it was one good solid punch, and I'll tell you, it was the right hand of Fury, and it was the side of the head by the ear. That, when his eardrums started bleeding,
it fell apart.
That's when he fell apart.
Yeah.
To me, not realizing your balance was lost. Because he looked, once that punch was made, it was a different fight. Yeah. It was completely different. He didn't even look like an amateur or beginner. He looked like somebody off the street went in to go fight someone. He did not, does not belong, that's not a heavyweight title fight. It was like, where in the world is he going? Every little punch he did was knocking him off. I could see his feet were close together and he was on his heels. Mm-hmm. Nothing against Fury. Fury did what he was supposed to do. Yep. But it was never the same with that punch.
Right.
But he was making all sorts of excuses. He's had so many excuses from the gloves are being too small.
And that's exactly
what Did you see the drama about that though? The glove?
Right.
The glove?
They're
how the
trying
glove slipped.
They didn't fit.
How the glove slipped off of Fury's hand.
Yeah.
Really?
And his fist was where the where the strings go.
Right.
So you can see it in the pictures. I was actually watching that yesterday.
Right.
His glove slipped down. So when he hit him, you can see the glove is flappy, and you can tell that he hit him with his fist where it wasn't.
I saw a lot of that stuff.
So is that
take it from the horse's mouth? Deontay Wilder released a video himself, and he believes, apart from the other 5 excuses he has, he believes that he has an egg-shaped type of weight or something in the glove, which is why he has like an egg-shaped dent in his skull. So he didn't even bring. He might have touched on it, but his latest excuse or belief is that he had weights in his glove.
Keep in mind, okay, these gloves are 10 ounces.
Yeah.
So for you guys that work out with 14 ounces in practice, in sparring, and in the gym,
tiny as gloves.
These professionals wear 10 ounces.
And they're small.
So they're small. Now, Fury, what is he, 6'7"?
He's a humongous cat.
He was, 270 pounds? Yeah. That's a big man, which means those are big ham hocks on his hands. All right? So 10-ounce gloves are not going to fit all that well. Let's be honest, okay?
And then all the gauze, all the wrapping.
So, so I could see if that was the case. But that's not the fault of Fury. That's
6'9".
not. 6'9".
6'9".
6'9". That's a big man. Okay, 6'9", 270. And so that's a very tall man. So to give him 10-ounce gloves, they're going to look small and flimsy because they're not fitting all the way through with his big hands. And so now that right hand that I saw when he punched, it dented his head. But that was a hard hit. So I can see why that happened. Now, that fight, what I do see in Wilder, the man has heart.
Sure.
Man has he really believes in himself. Yeah. He has heart. I used to cap on him that he can't fight. He can't box. But
box but he can fight.
Did you say he's a cholo fighter?
But one thing you cannot take away from him, his heart.
Yeah,
he's literally a man you have to kill in a ring, and I've seen that. Yeah. I give him that, and that doesn't come easy. That doesn't come easy. So again, he has to regroup. Also, he has to regroup himself. He has the confidence, but he came with like 10 excuses why he lost.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you lose, you have to man up to it.
Yeah,
You do.
You can't come up with excuses. My costume was too heavy. His gloves are too short.
Makes you sound like a little.
There was something in the drink that did.
Oh yeah, I heard that one
really?
too. That's right. Yeah,
Something
he's
in the
got
drink.
like 5
There's-
excuses.
You can't.
That's-
You
That's
can't
too
be
much,
making up
man.
stuff when you're physically. And I know for a fact you were not watching it because you couldn't see his punches come at you.
Yeah,
So to know that.
exactly.
So you were mostly on the floor. So you
Yeah.
can't come up with these excuses. It makes you look like a child,
Yeah, it
and that's
does.
and
then blaming
very
his
much
trainer. He said
a
his
poor
trainer-
loser in the sport of boxing.
Yes.
Keep in mind,
For sure.
you have the most knockouts in all heavyweights. The ones you beat were not crying like little babies like you were.
Yep.
That's my point right there. You
Nope,
just
yep.
can't whine about something. I go because the guys you beat, they bow down and say, "Hey, you won, so be it." You just can't be a little brat about it, and that's what I saw. I go, you lose respect when you do that, and I saw that in Wilder. Instead of losing like a man, he lost like a little baby.
Yeah.
So that's
Very much
really
so.
kind of that. So that was and again that was July 2nd. Fury 2. Does it deserve a rematch? Of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
Does it
yeah,
deserve a
I
rematch?
can't wait for that.
Dude,
rematch
Very
if
much
it
so.
happens.
That's something worth waiting to see. Is it going to happen in 2021?
I hope so.
I hope so. To me, it's a must because you really don't have that many heavyweights out there like the rest of the top fighters. You have your main ones, which obviously it would have to be Anthony Joshua,
Mhm.
Wilder,
Andy Ruiz.
Louise. Yeah, those are very good fighters. So they
Tyson
have to
Fury.
meet up
Dude,
with each
those,
other.
those four, just throw those four, mix them
Yeah,
around,
Mix them up.
mix them
I
up.
wanna see
That'd
them
be,
all fight
that'd
each
be
other.
interesting.
Again, there's other fights you could talk about. I mean, there's Earl Spence.
Spence Garcia is one of mine.
That's a good one. David Hayes, someone with Gamboa. That was
that's right.
To me, that was a flopper fight, and I'll tell you why. David Hayes was considered one of the top fighters out there, correct?
Mhm.
And he really didn't perform against Gamboa when Gamboa looks like he's on his way out,
He is on his way.
Yeah,
right? He looks like on his way out,
Gamboa was hot back in the day when 50 Cent was rolling around with Mayweather.
right?
I think 50 Cent killed his career, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think so.
Really?
I can't disagree with you.
Because Gamboa was coming up.
Yeah.
And he was solid, bro.
Oh, he
And
was.
then he got
was
signed
fun
by
to
50
watch.
Cent, and then he started to fall off.
So
He
I don't
wasn't
know.
fighting
I don't know
that's
if you
why.
remember. He was in contract to fight Brandon Rios.
Yes,
was he?
Yeah.
he was.
He was in
Okay.
contract to fight Brandon Rios. 50 Cent got in the mix, and if you ask my opinion, 50 Cent didn't know what he was doing. He shouldn't be in the boxing business. He tried to sign on with Floyd Mayweather to do the money team as a like a partnership type thing, and they took Gamboa. And in my opinion, obviously I wasn't in the room, but in my opinion, I think they were like, "Hey, look, Brandon Rios," and at the time was stopping people. They were like, "Look, you're undefeated. I think you had a belt. You might be jeopardizing your career. Why don't we groom you up a little bit?" And instead of canceling the fight, he was a no-show at the press conference, and I think even at the weigh-in, right? He was just
Right.
a no-show.
No show.
Damn.
I don't know what kind of money
Well,
got
what-
involved in.
Well,
He
I
just
think-
never showed up.
Well, here's the
Never showed
problem.
up. Brandon Rios showed up, and there was nobody in the other seat. Yeah, and then
Damn.
and he disappeared. No one knew where he was. And one day,
Showed up for fight day. Or
Floyd
what?
was training at the Tengu's boxing gym, and somebody put it on social media, the Gamboa training. They were like, "We found Gamboa."
Oh shit.
Yeah, a no-show for the Brandon Rios fight.
Well, here's the problem
Damn,
with
man.
50 Cent being a new promoter, thinking he can make it big, and in his mind, he figures if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make
Makes
sense.
sense.
But not realizing he was hurting his fighter.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
He was trying to be a Floyd Mayweather
he
promoter,
was, exactly.
and he's not. He's not.
No.
Clearly, he's not. In fact, he destroyed other people.
I think I think Billy Dibbs too. A lot of these
I mean,
hot guys that were coming up.
And now here's one. If we're talking about 50 Cent as a promoter, when I talk about destroying people, and a local kid in Riverside County was Twitch.
Oh, Daniel Twitch.
Daniel Twitch was under.
Jay-Z. No, it was Jay-Z.
Oh,
it was
no, it was
Rock
Jay-Z.
Nation.
Rock
Oh, yeah,
Nation.
it was
Rock
Rock.
Nation.
Oh no, thank you for correcting it. That
Yeah.
is true. It was Rock Nation. That's another promoter that went dead.
Yep.
Did they?
Oh,
went dead.
they're not promoting fighters no more?
Nope.
Really?
I know they're in
as far as
sports.
Yeah,
I know.
no boxing's taken on them.
Really?
Andre Ward got a
Right.
fat paycheck off of that.
Yeah, no
He
boxing's not
retired
taken on
right after.
because Daniel Twitch paid for it in the long run. Because when he got hurt, they were nowhere to be found.
Yep.
Really?
Left him.
Nowhere to be found.
Left
They
him.
left him to
Left
hang,
him.
pretty much to die.
Really?
That's the sad
Wow.
part. When
Oh, man.
he got beat up and all that, and had trauma and all that, and all that, they disappeared. Rock Nation disappeared. And Daniel Twitch put a note out there. Look, I fought for you. I did everything for what you guys asked. I didn't back down. But when I was in trouble, you guys disappeared.
Nowhere to see. Nowhere to be seen.
That was for Rock Nation. That was another promoter. Thank you for correcting that. That is so true.
So it wasn't 50 Cent.
No, it wasn't 50 Cent.
It wasn't 50.
50 Cent can't take it.
But on the TMT topic, one of my fights of the year that was super anticipating for me, besides Spence Garcia, was Tank Davis, Leo Santa Cruz.
Oh,
Knockout
that was a fight. That was a
knockout of the year.
great fight.
I called
That hurts
that
my
fight.
feelings. I don't like talking about that fight.
You can't say it wasn't a good fight though.
It was a really good fight.
That was a really good one. And in fact, it might have been one of the top fight of the year, actually.
It was a great
I mean, that's how good the fight was. When you talk about all these other good fights, that one could be the top in so many levels.
Yeah,
The best fight of the
very
year.
exciting. And the anticipation was crazy. And you know what? For a lot of people that messaged me, and or if I had
We were
conversation
messaging
with
back and forth, right?
Yeah, and I told you, just wait for it. Leo's got this. Just wait. For a lot of people that were messaging me saying, amping up Santa Cruz, and then a week later we're putting on Facebook or Instagram that he's a bum. He's a bum. Don't bring that to me, man, because it's not that Santa Cruz is a bum. Santa Cruz is
Not
solid.
Not at all.
Solid. It's just Tank is younger,
got lucky.
stronger. No,
There's no luck in there's no luck in boxing.
He worked on that punch.
No, that was.
He just
He
outworked him.
just outworked him, and he was a better fighter that night. It's that simple. And Tank is in my opinion, he's that good.
On that fight, you could see like typical Leo Santa Cruz. He's a volume puncher.
Oh yeah.
To me, you're not going to outpunch him.
No,
He's a volume puncher. His drawback was he doesn't move that much. He's a straightforward Mexican fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to a point. I love the idea that you're willing to walk someone down.
Yeah,
But you have to learn to box as well.
sure.
You just can't
Or you get caught with that
get
uppercut.
caught. So on that, you can see Tank was very patient about it. Looking. And in fact, if you watch some of the rounds, he was kind of giving away.
Kind of taking a beating.
Kinda
Kind of just like putting his guard up.
giving
And
it away,
just,
just kind of seeing.
he was just looking for
I
that
think he was
knockout.
overwhelmed.
No,
think
no,
so?
it was,
Really?
No, it wasn't
Santa
overwhelmed.
Cruz?
No, because you can see after a while who the hunter was.
Oh yeah.
You can see it. You can see Tank's now hunting him and chasing him and chasing
I
him.
think it switched like in the third.
No, it was
like,
back
the
and
third
forth
round.
because
It was back
Santa Cruz was not going to let him bully him around because he came in and his weight was nice. He looked strong and sharp. So he was not trying to let Tank dictate the fight. So he kept trying to come at
That's
him.
exactly
and
true.
they were back and forth.
And that's true because every time Tank would throw a jab, Leo was right there with it, making sure if you throw a jab, I'm gonna throw a jab,
I'm trying to
making
put you
sure
back
I
in your
throw
lane.
2 jabs at you to keep you off of me. It was the right move. It was the right thing to do. Very technical for fighters to do that. It was
Left
really
himself
great.
open.
But no, you don't never leave yourself open. I mean, that's something you like. I'm gonna leave myself open. What you do as a fighter, you both have defense.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're making sure you don't get tricked or caught into it. So you wait for that opening. And it's that 1 second when you get a little lazy. That knockout, that great knockout, was based on 2 right hands on Leo threw.
Yep.
He threw one right hand, and he threw
Loaded it
another
up.
right hand, and that's when he left
Slipped
himself
around.
open.
And he just
And
kept
that's
doing
when that
He did
uppercut came
a lot
in.
throughout the fights.
And
That fight.
now that was close to the corner where he was really trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And now that was a powerful punch because the way he fell. In fact, it was almost to the point where like, did he kill him?
Dude,
And that was really, the thing is,
it was really sad.
you have to respect Davis on his punches. Why? Look at his record. He does not let you walk out there.
He is a Tank.
He knocks you out. He has
he is
an
a Tank.
incredible knockout record. And say what you will about the man, but he's there to knock you out. And he's very technical. He's beautiful, in fact. Great. His defense was also awesome. I love defense, if you can't tell. What I love about fighters, how well you defend yourself, how well you move, because all the punching comes afterwards.
Exactly.
And Leo did not bring enough movement and enough defense in that.
Brought all the punches, but
Brought the punches, but that's not always enough.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to bring it all. I think what's Tank's drawback? I think his only drawback's his weight, right?
His weight. He likes to get fat.
Yeah.
Well, he's a not chubby. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Well, it is in boxing. In boxing, it is, and that's his drawback. In other words, his biggest fight is walking away from the table.
Yeah, I don't blame him, man.
That's his biggest fight.
Some bucks,
I mean, not being in the ring, because when you watch him when he's not training, he has a beautiful 6-pack, 12-pack, and then when he's not training, he has 1-pack.
He's a keg.
I think that now that he's with Mayweather keeps him in check a little bit more.
Well, hasn't he been
No,
with
he's been with Mayweather.
Yeah,
he's been with
him.
He's been with him.
He's just very rebellious, and he flops back and forth with Broner and him, and he's young. He's young. He's got a lot of money.
Reckless kind of
He's
right now.
He is a little reckless. But what really showed me a lot from his character is when he knocked out Santa Cruz, he ran up to the ropes to celebrate, did his thing. But then he looked back and saw he was still laying down.
Right.
So he went over there to make sure he was okay. That showed a lot because someone that young, he's probably like, I'm thinking he's going to act a little immature. But no, he showed a lot, walked over there to make sure he was okay.
And I agree because in boxing, it is a sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to promote the fight, the anger, and to get people all riled up.
Yeah.
I understand and I can respect that.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, when the fight's over, you should go see each other, shake hands, and hug each other. Because it is a sport.
Yeah.
It's not a savage fight as some people think it is. I can't count how many times people told me, "Oh, boxing, it's a savage sport."
Gladiators.
It's dumb, and I hear that all the time. And I said, you don't understand. It is a sportsman. It is a sport, and it's sportsmanship between two men. And I go, and give you an idea. Boxing, fighting, call it what you want. It is the oldest profession in the world. Mm-hmm. Oldest, meaning what? We all know what the second one is. Some people think it's the oldest. But no, it's not. We've been fighting from the beginning of time when cavemen were around. We were fighting for women. So that's
we still do.
That's what we still do. That's why I call it the oldest profession in the world. As we were born to fight, no matter what. There's just no way out of it. This way, it's called a sport versus something evil. So that's my 2 cents on that. When I say it's the oldest profession.
What other fight you think? What you got, Eric?
Ooh. Well, which one I want to bring up is it's not a big fight, but it's he just turned pro this year. His name is, I don't know if his last name is Ashton Silv, I think. He's from Long Beach, from Jackrabbit.
Oh,
Boxing.
Yes,
You know
Superman.
what I'm talking about? Superman, exactly.
Superman.
Dude,
that's what he's known.
The way he moves, he's fighting TJ, I think a couple months ago.
Right.
I think he has 1 or 2 fights.
He has 2.
2, yeah. I think both are knockouts.
Both knockouts.
Yeah. And just the way he moves right now, it's just like, he's an upcoming fighter everyone should be looking at too. Just right up there with Matthias.
I agree with you. I
think they fought with each other too.
Matthias? Really?
I think didn't they go to Ireland
What's his
recently?
last name?
I think it's Silv. I don't know how to say his last name.
I know who you're talking about. I know him as Superman. And from Long Beach. And he is from Jackrabbits.
Shout out to Long Beach.
Jackrabbits Boxing Club. That's definitely he is there.
What about you, Lou?
I put my fight out there. That was the Tank Santa Cruz. That was mine. That was as much as I wanted to put the Canelo Smith. I didn't have the anticipation or like the I can't wait to see that fight because I kind of knew where it was going. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but I was just not
Sylvie. Yeah, it's a tough one to pronounce, but I do know who you're talking about.
He's a beast. I'm sorry. You're going?
No, I'm kidding. No, the anticipation for the Canelo fight for me was I kind of knew where it was going. I didn't feel like Smith was like a gigantic threat. I felt that more when he fought Triple G.
Oh damn!
So because of that, mine was Tank Santa Cruz. That anticipation
H2O,
was kind of like the Spence Garcia. That was also like very. I can't wait. I just can't wait.
No, that was a good fight. I mean, there was a lot of good fights this year for being short. I mean, you had again Errol Smith.
Juan Francisco Estrada versus Carlos Cuadras.
Yeah, but
that was a good little.
that was a good fight. But I'm talking about fights like Triple G fought this year. Everyone knows who Triple G was. And we're talking Canelo, Errol Spence,
big names.
Big names. You know, these were all things. In fact, we can even throw in Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fighting. Okay, so
that's. I bet you the general public they'll all announce that as the fight of the year.
Well, because the thing is, what was crazy about that, seeing two seniors fight, it was they had the most pay-per-views fight of all time.
Crazy.
Because
Everyone
it was a new generation. People go, I want to see these guys. I know the names.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So, of course, you know, I joked about it. I said, you do know it's not a real fight. It's a fight, but it's not real because it's not sanctioned. You know? You can't really clarify. And again, it's hard to get excited. And I'm in my 50s. But I can't get excited seeing two men in their 50s fight. I just can't. They're not the same fighters that were I think, 10 years ago.
I think that was the beauty of the marketing strategy because they put everyone knows Mike Tyson. Half of those people know Roy Jones, maybe more. And putting those names, instantly people, whether you know boxing or not, you know Mike Tyson and you remember that ferocious. You know something about Mike Tyson just being a ferocious puncher and you just want to see it. Because people, like back in the day, people gravitate to the they want to see people knocking each other's heads off. I think that's why MMA is so popular. They just want to see people getting ripped
apart. The thing about Mike Tyson, he hasn't really fought in 15 years.
But they don't see that. They don't think that.
I think he said 20 years.
It's really 20 years, but his last fight was really, but it's 20. And he's still talked about as a vicious knockout artist, a heavyweight, you know. So people love Tyson for that.
Hey, for all, not to cut you off, Coach, but for everyone that and I got a lot of this too. Do you think Tyson is overrated? And I'm like, not overrated in a sense.
Well, you know, you really want to hear from me?
That's what I tell him. You want the sauce? You want the truth? Or
he's overrated. People are going to get mad, and I'll tell you why he's overrated. Now, if you want to bring that up,
he lost every big fight he was in.
And that is exactly true. You know, the thing is, when he was most feared, when he was under Customato,
yeah.
That's when he was really That's when he was this young, savage kid.
Dynamite.
He had this raw power, just raw power, and he was just dynamite with hands.
Yeah.
And so, you know, watching him fight as a spectator, I go, wow, he knows how to walk forward beautifully, but he didn't know how to back up. That was his biggest downfall. You know, a
lot of big punchers don't know how to fight back.
Right. He just knew how to go forward. He was like a pit bull. It was like right out of the gate, ding, ding, and he ran forward and he knocked you out.
Not even that. He had won the fight already. He won the fight. Walking in.
Oh, yeah.
He had that demeanor. He had that look. God, he just looks mad. Just, you know, I don't want to. He looks pissed off. I don't want to piss him off anymore. He already had a reputation as a fear monster. So again, you know. When Customato had him, that's when he was at his best.
Yeah.
That when he was very unstoppable. Then when Customato passed away, Mickey Rooney had him as a trainer. He did good with him. You know, still win some fights. But really, you saw all the flaws come out of Mike.
After that, they couldn't control him. He fought Lennox Lewis. He fought Evander. And he lost to Buster Douglas before both of them. All the big fights he was in, he lost. I mean, he bit a guy's ear off, for goodness sake.
Because he showed his frustration that he couldn't win a fight.
Exactly.
So, again, why was that? And I'll tell you why. Meaning, why did he fall off? Because he stopped learning. He stopped training other things. He was easy to read. When Evander fought him, he looked at him and he goes, if I'm going to fight Mike Tyson, I notice he doesn't know how to back up. And now he just moves his head back and forth. I just got to time that. So Evander says, I'll just put him some more weights on. You know, I'm going to work with the weights, add more muscles to me, and time his head, which he did. And when he comes close to me, lock up and push him back. And and it worked beautifully. He could not back up really well. You know, with Lennox Lewis, same thing. He goes, you know what? He doesn't know how to back up. I have this long reach, and I'll just pound on him with my jab and push him back. And you can see, and then to be honest, when you watch Tyson fight, he squared up all the time.
Yeah.
He was always squaring up. And that's rule number one.
Because he was looking to get you out of there. He wasn't looking to break you down.
So for the people you don't know, remember, he fought as a southpaw. He's really conventional.
Who?
Mike Tyson.
He fought as a
softball. I apologize. I apologize. I got that backwards. Okay, he fought as a southpaw.
As conventional, but he's
really a lefty. He fought conventional.
You know what's, and that's a good point you bring up. I just want to touch on that. A lot of people don't know this either. And De La Hoya,
right?
A lot of people don't know why his left hook was so good, and why he would double it up so strong, because he's left-handed.
Correct.
He fought right-handed. And I've been told, I don't know how true it is, that he was when he was brought to the gyms in East LA, his dad told him, turn the other way, because Mexicans don't fight left-handed. Mexicans are right-handed.
Right.
Maybe tailoring after, like South Sanchez or something. I don't know. But Manny Pacquiao, same thing.
Yeah.
He's a right-hander, fights left-handed.
Oh, what the heck? I didn't know that.
Lou Almighty, baby. Right-handed. I fight left-handed.
There are quite a few out there now.
I'm a left-handed.
Victor Ortiz, one of my favorite fighters.
Well, and it's true.
Right-hander fights left-handed.
I mean, that is true. I mean, let's talk. There's guys who are switch hitters. Who do you think is the best switch hitter right now?
Without a doubt.
Bud Crawford.
Yeah, exactly.
Bud
Without a
Crawford.
doubt.
He is the best, and I'll tell you why. It's hard to perfect both. Meaning, if I'm a right-hander, I don't want to go right-handed, meaning I want to make that my lead. It takes years to practice that. And sometimes guys, when they go back and forth switching, it shows it's shown a frustration.
Yeah.
I can't beat you with my left. I'm going to try to beat you with my right. If I can't beat you with the right, I go to my left. But sometimes, one is your strength, one is your weakness.
Yeah.
And it's a show of frustration. But Crawford,
It's seamless.
He's a very technical switch hitter. When I go, and that takes years, and he's confident. I watch him and I go, oh, he fights beautifully both ways.
Seamless.
So when you're fighting him, you're like, oh, he just switched on me, and he's beating me this way as well. And then he confuses you, then he goes back. He actually perfected it.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Very much perfected.
Is there another fighter that's done that?
No, that's a switch hitter.
There's been quite a few of them, but never been really good.
Because I've seen Miguel Cotto do it. Because Miguel Cotto, same thing. He fights conventional, but he's really left-handed.
Right.
And he does it, but he only does it when he's losing.
Right. He uses to throw a different angle.
Yeah. And he only throw 2 punches and go right back.
And sometimes you get him beat when you're doing that. You're like, that's not working. The other, you're like, oh, that made it worse. Right. So that is true.
Bud Crawford is seamless, and for a lot of people that's never boxed before. Imagine looking at your opponent and he's timing you, or you're timing his punches coming from the left side and the right side, and then his right foot is in front of you, and so forth. And you're used to that. I mean, you've trained years and years looking at people that way. And for you to switch, you're literally mirroring everything
right
to the opposite.
Exactly.
The way you sit on your punch, the way you move. You're moving the other way now. You're punching with your other hand. It's a very... it's a freaking skill.
Keep in mind, everyone thinks it's the hands fighting. It's really the feet.
It's the feet.
The feet. If the feet screw up, so does your hands.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to be a switch hitter, you need to understand it's your feet that fights.
Yeah.
And it means they're the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't lead, your hands don't follow.
That's right.
And so
that's a difference between you being a punching bag.
I watch guys, when they're doing switching, and I'm like, stop that. You're off balance. If you can't perfect one, quit trying to screw up the other one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I was going to ask
stop that.
How do you look at it as a coach?
Stay with strong and work with it. Because if you can't box what you're supposed to be doing, then don't try to change it and make it worse. Right. And I see that a lot. And, I'm going to try to confuse him. You're confusing yourself. You didn't even confuse him. So... I always tell people, look in the mirror. When I tell guys when they're training, look at the mirror does not lie.
Oh, yeah.
If you can see the mistakes of the mirror, which is you, and if you can't correct yourself, you're in trouble because your opponent will fix it for you.
Oh, yeah. Quick.
And real quick. And that's my biggest pet peeve. I go, look at the mirror. It doesn't lie. And I go, you can't see what's wrong? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
you're trying to look pretty. Try not to look pretty and start doing it correctly.
And there's a lot of people in the gym. I've noticed a lot of guys that we call them gym stars.
Right.
They look phenomenal in the gym. Jump rope, backwards, sideways, whatever. And they're inside the ring and they're showing off and they look beautiful moving. And I felt we had a guy in there for a little bit, Fernando Guerrero.
Right.
Fernando Guerrero was in there, and the guy was a tremendous gym star. Maybe I shouldn't call him that, messed up, but he was he looked, seamless. Just smooth the way he moved, and in the ring it was like, dude, you don't look like that in the gym. You get picked apart.
No,
and then there's guys like Maidana.
Right.
They look stiff. They look like, not necessarily bad, but they don't look, real smooth and flamboyant per se, but a switch turns on in the ring, and all of a sudden he's a killer. Like, holy crap!
There are guys that come to the gym and they're great sparring partners for a lot of people. I mean, they're not pros, but they'll give you good work. Oh, yeah. In fact, some tough fights, and you're like, and you get these pros like, man, I'm glad I'm not really fighting you because I can't fight you. Mm-hmm. You seem to know me really well. You seem to pick my mistakes. Yeah. But you put that same fighter in the real fight, and you're like, different. Oh, this guy's been looking good in the gym and all that, and you're like, he doesn't look like he knows how to fight. It's a gym star. Everything goes out the window.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the gym stars, there are quite a few of them, and they really just can't do it, and they really can't fight. They don't have that competitive level, But they're really relaxed in the ring, in the gym, in the ring, and just like,
you got to have that something. Joe Goosen used to say too. You either got it or you don't. What do you mean? Exactly what I'm saying. You got it or you don't. I'm like, oh, okay. and I get what he means now. Right. You do. You either have it or you don't.
Exactly.
And some guys they walk in, they just have it. Some guys got to build it a little bit, but some guys just they just don't have it in them.
And a lot of them think they do have it. I just had a phone call. Someone called me and wants to come to my gym and says, hey, I see your gym there. I'm looking around. I'm looking to fight. I want to go pro. Ooh. And I said, oh, any experience? None.
Nope.
Pull up.
Well, you know what? You understand when you tell a coach you want to go pro, and I'm thinking, I can only imagine if I was a pro football, a pro coach, where a kid comes up to him, hey, I want to join your team because I want to go pro. You haven't even been in the league, let alone to understand.
Yeah.
To go pro. Sure. You can't go pro as a boxer that quick. No. It's easy to do it. But
it's easy to say it too.
Easy to say it, but you're going to find out you're not a pro. You're not going to make it. So,
much experience needed.
A lot of experience needed.
Any other fights you guys got?
Not for me.
Before we say goodbye.
What about 2020? You? Quiet Pants over there. What do you got?
No, I told you. I like that. What's his name? The Cuadras and Estrada.
Oh yeah.
That was a really good fight.
Yeah,
that was a really, really good fight. It reminded me of Barrera and.
Oh, they don't make them like that no more, man.
Oh, bro, I'm telling you, it was a really
I'm looking at that.
It was the number 2. I was watching that yesterday too. So I was checking out the zone fights for 2020.
There's a lot of fights. I was going through a lot of fights. I'm like, whoa.
But that one was one that wasn't really talked about, but it was a really good fight.
It's a lot of
they were going back and forth, dude, like back and forth, knocking each other down.
Damn.
It was
I think I remember seeing it, but I think I remember seeing a fight where they kept knocking each other down this year, but I forgot. I think it was that one.
There was another one. Remember the one I sent you to?
What's that?
I don't know if I sent it to you through text or through Instagram. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah, there's quite a good fights out there to begin with. They didn't quite make it to the stream, yet. They're working their way up to it.
But man, I'm telling you, that was one of the good ones besides all the big names. You know what I mean? That was like really, really impressive.
I think overall for 2020, as bad as 2020 was for the year for everybody,
we got some gifts.
Yeah, I think we had some good fights.
Yeah,
some good fights. It's kind of funny when you watch these fights when there's no crowds there. And,
I know, right?
It's really weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
You can literally hear everybody whisper.
You can hear the corners
talk and all that. You can hear the hits.
The body
you know who I didn't put on my list. Now that I think about it, the Charlos fight. They did the doubleheader.
Oh yeah,
the Charlos did a doubleheader. Both Charlos, both.
But those were like easy fights for them, bro. Like,
no, it was not.
You didn't think so? No,
hell no.
They give them work.
One of the Charlos beat Banana, the guy that beat Julian Williams. And supposedly Julian Williams was taken back over, and this dude beat him, which I thought Julian Williams would win, and threw him into the Charlo, got knocked out with a jab to the body. Not a punch, not a right hand, a left jab. Devastating. And then the other brother fought on the same card. I hope they do I hope they both fight on the same card going forward. Why not see both Charlos on the same card?
Well, that's another topic for another day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This concludes 2020.
2020 for us.
Episode number 4 is in the books.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Love it.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
And again, we're still new at this. Please feel free to comment, good or bad.
Comment,
give us that
like,
feedback.
subscribe.
The things you guys want to hear, we're willing to talk about. And again, anything negative, we're willing to take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
So
And if you got too much negative, pull up.
Yep.
Greg lives
So,
here.
but again, for everyone, it's 2020 is leaving. Christmas just ended. Happy New Year for everyone
Yeah,
else.
hopefully
Happy New Year.
everybody's safe.
Happy holidays to
Happy
everybody.
holidays. Yes.
Absolutely.
We will be back most definitely next year after the
Ryan Garcia.
Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia
Right.
fight.
So stay tuned for that fight.
So
I got a lot to talk about.
excuse me.
So it's over and out.
Over and out.
All right,
All right.
guys. See you later.